Have you ever faced this? A core team member you painstakingly groomed for years one day suddenly hands you a resignation letter. And on the way out, takes a few of your best subordinates with him, ready to go it alone. In that moment, you feel furious, betrayed, cursing today's employees in your heart. How can they have no sense of loyalty at all? But have you ever calmed down and truly thought about one question? Why did they leave? This is top-tier logic. I'm Mojo. We see through the logic of money, because wealth is the only chip, to real freedom in this brutal world. Today, I'll say something that may make many bosses uncomfortable. In this world, no employee actually has any duty to be loyal to the boss, and there's no such thing as betrayal. In the real world of business, what makes you feel hurt is often not emotion, but that you failed to see through the nature of interest binding. Today, I'll fully break down the 5 underlying business truths behind sharing money and giving up margin. First point, what the rich fight to the death for is solid, real interest binding. Many small business bosses commit the biggest management taboo. They love to use emotion to kidnap their employees. The line they always have ready is, "Look, when you first came, you knew nothing. I groomed you by hand. Now your wings have hardened and you want to leave." They crave gratitude, they crave loyalty. But in the business world, emotion is often the most fragile thing. The relationship between employee and boss is essentially an exchange of value. He looks at what value you can give him. If he chooses to leave, the core reason is usually just one. Your money isn't enough, or rather, between you, there's no longer a lasting win-win. Without a win-win, so-called loyalty is just blind loyalty, and real talent is never blindly loyal to any boss. The poor always try to keep people with morals and emotion, but top entrepreneurs from the start don't talk to you about vague loyalty. They know deeply, to make people follow you wholeheartedly, you must build solid, real interest binding. As long as the interests are bound tightly enough, talent naturally won't leave. So what happens if you can't bear to share money? Second point, let me show you an extremely painful real case. Back then, Jiayin, who later became the founder of Evergrande, was still working at a company in Shenzhen. His boss sent him to Guangzhou to take charge of a real estate project. In just 2 years, Jiayin showed astonishing business talent, creating up to 200 million in cash flow for the company. But back then, his monthly salary was a mere 3,000 yuan. His year-end bonus was pitifully small too. Do you think such an extremely unbalanced interest structure could keep a talent like Jiayin? Absolutely impossible. He saw the huge room to grow, but the boss couldn't bear to give him a matching reward, so he decisively chose to leave and went out to start his own business. What did that boss do wrong? He just couldn't bear to share money. Because he couldn't bear to share money, he lost a dark horse who could have helped him win half a real estate empire, and even groomed his own strongest competitor with his own hands. The poor boss always thinks about squeezing surplus value out of employees, but the rich boss understands. You must always offer better treatment than your peers. That way, the elite you want will be willing to stay and fight alongside you. So how exactly should you share? Third point, the rich understand the equity wisdom of scatter wealth. Let's look at how Huawei pushed this to the extreme. Why has Huawei risen so strongly these years, standing firm against global market challenges? The most core point is that its founder, Ren Zhengfei, is willing to share money. As founder, Ren Zhengfei was fully able to hold a huge proportion of the shares for himself, but in reality, he holds only 1.4%. The vast majority of the remaining shares were all shared among the company's 80,000-plus employees, letting them get dividends each year by their shareholding ratio. The boss never deliberately shortchanges them, and this makes Huawei's employees treat the company's matters truly as their own, fighting hard. Just think, if the money earned in the end only goes into management's own pockets, how many employees would be willing to give you their all? Ren Zhengfei, with 1.4% of the shares, won the wholehearted devotion of tens of thousands of top talents. The poor as bosses always think about gripping 100% of the equity tightly in their own hands. And the result is the company gets smaller and smaller. But the rich understand, scatter wealth, gather people, sharing out equity and returns, and instead build an unshakable business empire. Not only toward employees, but facing partners too, your scale in sharing money equally decides the height of your career. This is the fourth point. Taiwan once had a real estate businessman named Ren Zhengfei. When young, he was very smart and capable, yet his career never took off. He even went bankrupt once. He couldn't figure it out. In smarts, in diligence, he was no worse than anyone, so why just no success? Until one day, he saw in a magazine an interview about Li Ka-shing. The reporter asked Li Ka-shing's son, Richard Li, "What money-making secret did your father pass on to you?" Richard Li said, "Father only taught me one principle of conduct. He said, when you cooperate with others, if taking 7 parts is reasonable, taking 8 is fine too, then our Li family just takes 6 parts." This line made Ren Zhengfei suddenly see the light. This is the highest realm of giving up margin. Li Ka-shing always lets others earn a part or two more, so everyone knows cooperating with him makes money. More and more people scramble to do business with him. Though he took only 6 parts per deal, his business went from 5 to 100. Ren Zhengfei later applied this 6-part rule to his own real estate business. In just a few years, his net worth broke 10 billion. The mistake many smart people make most often is being too shrewd, scheming in every way to scrape a bit more off the other side, chasing the maximum on a single deal. The result? They win the present. The final 5th point is also the most powerful objective law of this whole money-sharing thing. The rich understand sharing money out in advance is the highest realm of making big money. Many people are used to taking out part of the returns only after the thing is done, to reward merit. This works, but it's often hindsight. It can't spark the other person's greatest potential. The rich way is, if you think this person can bring you 200,000 in value, then you go straight to him with 100,000 in hand and ask for his help. Learn to share money before you've earned it, and the other person will surely give you their all. This isn't just sharing money, it's building a sense of dependence. When your customer feels the value you provide is far greater than the price he pays. When your employee finds the salary you give is far above peers. When your partner finds the cut you give is above market, they will deeply depend on you. A real boss is never about restraining employees, but about fulfilling employees, fulfilling partners, because you must fulfill them first before you can fulfill yourself. Once you learn to share power and profit in advance, you won't need to conquer the world alone. Naturally, countless capable talents will come on their own to expand your territory. By now, you might examine your own career and relationships. Do you always, for a sliver of petty profit before you, argue with people till you're red in the face? Do you always complain there's no capable helper around, yet forget to ask yourself, have you ever given them enough reward? Please remember, the nature of the business world is the exchange of value. Anyone who decides to do something has interest driving it behind. Starting today, put down those unrealistic emotional kidnappings and moral demands. Learn to design your business model with win-win thinking, and boldly give the returns to those who create value for you. Scatter wealth and people gather. Scatter people and wealth gathers. When you truly grasp the art of sharing money, understanding retreat to advance, give to gain, you'll be delighted to find those once insurmountable bottlenecks will all resolve themselves. When you learn to share money well, this world will naturally have countless people. If this episode gave you something, welcome to subscribe to Top Tier Logic, hit like, and turn on the little bell beside it. Next episode, we keep seeing through the underlying logic behind wealth. I'm Mojo. See you next time.